Hello, Gary Johnson here for Calculations, the talk show, and BlackMenInAmerica.com. I'm excited today for our guest this evening, Mr. Mel Pender. Mel is a gold medal winner. He is a military hero. He is an author, an entrepreneur, businessman, and I'm just excited that he's on the show today because I remember in 1968, watching the Olympics, the 4x4 relays with my father. And at the end, we were all excited. And then when the fists went up, and you can talk about that. In my neighborhood, there was a division in my neighborhood. Half of the neighbors were upset and thought this was an embarrassment. What are these two guys doing? And then there was another half of the neighborhood that was like, no, we wish we could do that. And we're glad that they did that. I know one of the gentlemen was your roommate. Mel, I'll leave it up to you to start us in, and just talk about that.
Yeah, my roommate was John Carlos. And I didn't know that John and Tommy was going to do that. I mean, they kept that secret among themselves. And when people say they did a Black Power salute, it was not a Black Power salute. You know, it was a silent gesture. You know what I mean? To let people know around the world, hey, we're protesting for all the people that have been discriminated against around the world, Black people, all people. And when you said your neighborhood got upset, you know, sometimes I wonder if sometimes Black folks don't realize how they got where they are after 100 years of slavery. You know, people died, you know, to help us Black people to be free. We couldn't vote in 1965, and they don't realize that when John Carlos and Tommy Smith stood on that victory stand, they were standing there for all people of color because they were tired as hell of being discriminated against and being treated like a second-class citizen in their own country. For instance, me, I was a military man. I'm in the military fighting for my country in 1964. You know, and it's a thing where I couldn't vote, and you know, Black people we were kind of made to feel inferior back then. You know, Black people, we always try to make us feel inferior, white people. But you know, that was one of the things that I guess maybe I wasn't inferior. I just didn't know shit. Excuse me, to say that word. I didn't know any better. But in 1965, when I started, you know, when I was 64, I was seeing Martin Luther King and C.T. Vivian and Jose Williams and all these great Black men that gave their lives, you know, and you know, I can't remember most of all the people that actually was with. I wish I could remember every one of them, but I can't. Okay, John Lewis, you know, the youngest guy there. But it's a thing where these guys, they gave their lives, man. And when people say, they tell you they didn't understand and was upset because they did that because of the national anthem. How many people know anything about the national anthem? They need to go back and do some due diligence about the national anthem too. But you know, I won't say that I don't honor the national anthem. I'm American. I live in this country, but sometimes I wonder the words that's in there and one of the verses of the national anthem. You know, it kind of make you feel kind of bad because it's about slaves. You know what I'm saying? You know, sometimes I sit down and I just think, when you said people that didn't understand what John Carlos and Thomas Smith did. And I know they had grandparents and great grandparents that was back in the day when they couldn't ride on the front of the back of the bus. I mean, front of the bus, they had to ride on the back of the bus. Like me, I had a black and white. Black and white water fountains. You couldn't drink out of a white fountain. You had our own fountain. Toilets, you couldn't use the same toilet they used. I grew up in a house, man. We didn't have running water. We had a well in the backyard. We had an outhouse called the toilet. Okay.
Yeah, I remember my grandparents had that. Yeah.
Right. Well, I grew up with that. And we had a little stove. We call it a little stove in our bedroom. We had to bring in wood to keep warm in the wintertime. Had a wooden stove in the kitchen that you cooked on, an big iron wooden stove, and didn't have a bathtub. We took a bath in a number 10 tub, they call it. Okay, you had to warm your water on the stove and get in that tub. And my sister and I had to use the same water. Okay, but she always got the bath first. You know what I'm saying? So I had to take the leftovers. But, you know, it was a thing where you didn't have food to eat. You know, you eat a lot of beans and a lot of rice and government cheese. And, you know, back then, my mother making $15 a week, man, as a maid. And, you know, and she come home so tired sometime and wanted me to rub her feet. I get a pail of water and I put some alcohol in the water and I would rub my mother's feet, you know, and she liked for my sister to comb her hair. But my mother was part Cherokee Indian, you know, her family bloodline is Cherokee, and she had this long, pretty black hair and it's pure all over her skin. She's absolutely beautiful woman. And I'll ask my mother questions, you know, why? The word was why. And my sister always get on, always saying why. Why you always why? You know, because I always talked a lot, you know. And one day I remember this. I was coming home from school and we lived on the other side of the tracks, and this troops was on their way to the Second World War to Japan. And on the front of the trains were the white troops, on the back of the train was the black troops. And the train would stop there for maybe 10 minutes and we would go up to the train and the black troops would throw out money to us. They would throw money out, quarters, dime, wasn't much, but it was money back then. You get a nickel or dime, you had money. You know, you could take 10 cents and go to the movie. And you couldn't talk to the soldiers. You didn't have time to talk to them, but we probably asked, some of the things we'd ask them where they're from, and most of them was from up north. You know, Chicago, Indiana, coming, like that was going to California. That's where they were going to get on the ships. But I went home and asked my mom one day, and I was rubbing her feet, and I said, Mom, why are the black troops on the back of the train and white troops in front of the train? They're going to fight the same war. She could ask me the question. She said, son, you know, you asked me that question, and it's really hard for me to understand. And she said, but you know, you're going to separate schools, and that's what you call segregation. I didn't know what it meant. I was only like sixth grade, maybe seventh grade. And I said, segregation is, she said, well, you know, segregation is where you can't go to the same school, like you're going to a black school and the white kids going to a white school. And she said, well, in the military was that way too. I said, Mama, why? Why ain't they fighting the same war? I said, Mama, when they get shot at, they just shoot at the black guys and don't shoot at the white guys. Or I said, our blood is the same color. I said, if bully hit the black guy, the white guy, they both gonna bleed red. And she said, son, that's something you have to learn. She said, I'm gonna say this to you. When you in school, she said, you sit there and you learn. You learn all you can. And I did that because I moved from Dalton. I was in Dalton, Georgia. And then we moved to Atlanta and I moved with my grandparents. And I had a grandfather, he only had a third grade education. He learned how to read by reading his Bible. And we'd sit on the front porch and sing his gospel songs and reading his Bible. And my buddy was always come down to my house and we would play marbles on, you know, under the garage. And my father would call us and tell us to come and sit down. He was a deacon in the church. My mom was a deaconess in the church. And every Sunday we went to church too. I'm gonna get that right quick. We went to church from the morning time to the nighttime.
All right.
So my grandfather would say, boys, you need to listen. He said, you need to listen. He would say, listen. He would say, listen. And I would say, Pop, what are you talking about? He says, you got to listen, son. I said, the only way you're going to listen to learn, you're going to have to listen. He said, you listen to everything in that teacher telling you in that classroom. That's what he would talk. He said, when you sit at your desk, you don't play around, boy. He said, once you get out of school to get a job, he says, if you're sweeping the floor on one side of the room and another guy sweeping the floor on the other side of the room, he said, you make sure you sweep your side better than that guy over there because you're always competing. Now, this is a guy who only had a third grade education, but that's the way he talked.
Right.
And when I go to class, when I go talk to kids, I would use some of the things like that that my grandfather would say to me. And the main thing I would do, when you find kids that's not listening, they'd be playing around while you're talking. And I would take the mic and I would holler in the microphone, listen, and they would jump out of the chairs, right? And the teacher said for a week, the kids would go around down the hallway saying, listen. But, you know, it's a thing where, you know, I know people today that say things to me like they like Trump. And I shouldn't have said that, but they like the Republican Party and people in the Republican Party. Let me put it that way, okay?
Okay.
And One of my friends said to me, yesterday, he heard we was in the car talking. We just finished playing golf, and he heard it on the news that how Biden wants to tax the rich. Well, I don't believe in that. I don't believe in taxing the people with money. I said, he's a banker. He's a retired banker. Okay.
Okay.
I said, there's there's people out there that's making millions and billions of dollars not paying their fair share. What? And these corporations are not paying any money. Amazon, look at some of these companies like Amazon.
Yeah, they're not paying anything.
Not paying no taxes. But you know who's paying that tax? Me and you. You and I are paying those taxes. We are paying their taxes because we are keeping the United States afloat. If it wasn't for us paying our taxes, we couldn't operate in America. We couldn't survive because you got rules and regulations. It takes money to run a country. I said, you're a tax man. You're a man with numbers. I said, but you say something like, you don't believe that rich people should pay their fair share. Man, I tell you, you must have he's been a real bad damn banker. And you don't say that to me. And I asked him a question. I says, how do you feel about poor people? Well, I think everybody should earn their own, do their own fair share. I think everybody should earn their own money. And I said, everybody can't be like you and me.
Wow. Yeah.
I said, you went to college, you could afford to go. I said, a lot of kids can't afford to college. They're smart, they want to go to college. I couldn't go to college. So I joined the military. I said, let me say something to you. The only thing that saved me from going to jail or dead was me going in the military back in those days. Because I know I would have probably done something stupid or got shot by one of those crazy policemen out there or did selling drugs to make some dollars. And I said, that wasn't Mel Pender. I promised my mom and my grandparents that one day I was going to make them proud of me. One night I was standing on the corner. We had a little cafe called The Stand. It had a little pot-belly stove where you keep one and a jukebox, and he sold hamburgers and hot dogs and a Roy Crown Cola. Where everybody loved the Orange and the great Roy Crown Cola.
RC Cola, yes.
RC, baby. And we always had contests of dancing, and it's a little raggedy place, but it's all we had. And the police would come up there, turn their lights off. Turn the lights off. They'd sneak up on us and jump out of the car and find the biggest guy out there and beat him up.
Wow.
I ran home one night so fast that I ran to the backyard of my neighbor and hit a clothesline and almost killed myself.
Oh my goodness.
Because we couldn't close outside. We didn't have.
Oh yeah, I remember those clotheslines.
All right, man. You know what I'm talking about. So when I got home, I was crying and I was all muddy, and my mom and them was sitting there watching TV, black and white television. I can't imagine. It was one of their stories. I don't know what it was. I can't remember. And say, what's the matter? What's the matter? And I told them what happened. And right then, I promised, when that happened to me, I promised my grandmother and said, my grandfather and my mom that one day I'm going to make you proud of me. I'm going to stay out at night. I'm not going to hang out on the corner up there, no later than like maybe 8 or 9 o'clock. I'm coming home. And I said, I'm going to be the best kid I can be. I said it just like that. And I did. And again, the only thing saved me was the Army, the military. And I used the system in the military. I didn't fight it.
Right. Well, let's fast forward a little bit. We can always come back, because when you went into the Army, it was the Army, right?
Right.
You were what, 17?
I was 17 years old.
17 years old.
And married.
Oh my goodness.
And married. I married when I was 16.
Oh my goodness.
My girlfriend was my high school sweetheart, pregnant, and I married her.
Okay.
My parents had to sign for us. But I had this thing in my heart that my father and mother divorced when I was 10 years old, and it really hurt me because I loved my dad. My dad, when it was in the Second World War in the Navy, he came home with dementia. They didn't call They didn't call it dementia back then. They called it crazy. But he was a drinker and he, do all crazy things, right? And they used to fight. He used to hurt mom. And I said, I would never, ever leave my child.
Okay.
So the only thing I could do was go in the military so I could take care of my family. And I went in the military at 17. And wherever I was stationed at the time, I brought my wife and family, my daughter with me. And we had a nice apartment. I had a nice car. My first car was a 1944. But when I went in the Army, I bought me a 1964, I'm sorry, a 1955 Chevrolet convertible. That thing was, I wouldn't let raindrops hit it. I would go out and hit the rain for the rain.
You sound like my next door neighbor who just got his 2022 Corvette yesterday.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I had 3 of them. I want that one so bad, but I'm too old for that one now, I think.
He had to wait 2 years, but it finally came yesterday. And he took me for a ride.
Yeah.
It was nice.
I just got rid of a 1958, man. It was beautiful. I'm sorry. 2008.
Oh, okay.
I just got rid of beautiful canary yellow 2008. It was crazy. And I cried a day because I got rid of it. But I'm going to tell you what I bought later on. Then you're going to holler.
Okay. All right. I'll remember before we go.
Okay.
Find out what you got out.
Right.
So you got into, how did you get into track and field from the military? Because I understand you got into track and field kind of late, because most people at 17 have been running in high school and learning all the techniques.
Man, before I get to that right there.
Okay.
And you said most of them run in high school and learn the techniques.
Yeah.
Now, can I tell you what kind of high school I went to? I went to high school they built in my neighborhood, a long cement block building with about 14 classrooms, concrete floors, no running water, little potbelly stove in the corner with one of the stovepipes out one of the window panes, and a toilet about 12, I would say, let's say 75 meters from the school, in our house. That was in Decatur. That was in Atlanta. I'm telling you, man. This is people just don't know. That's why I tell young people, you just don't know what people how we had to sacrifice in order to maintain a decent living back then.
Okay, now this what you just said prompted me, and hopefully you haven't heard this question in all the years that you've been interviewed. So here we go. I'm gonna try to throw you a fastball. What was your earliest or most vivid recollection of being or feeling different when you were growing up? Earliest or most vivid recollection of being or feeling different?
Different than?
However you define different.
When I was a kid now,
okay,
growing up, I felt different because the way white people looked at me and the name calling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the color of my skin. Then I knew, and the names they would call me because the color of my skin. I felt different then. When I really felt that I was somebody different,
okay,
when I was in the military and start running track, and that was in my late 20s, my middle 20s, early 20s. I didn't feel, it took me a long time in order to say, I can do this. I can be this, because I've been held back and been treated a certain way as a second-class citizen, that I only think I could only do certain things. I couldn't do things like the white man would do.
So you were kind of conditioned. You had to break that conditioning, that mental conditioning.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It was all, and then I started going to school, and in classroom, I saw how dumb they were and how smart I was. I didn't think I was smart enough to go to college, you know? Now we're gonna get to that in a minute, okay?
Okay.
But back to Linwood Park, the school was called Linwood Park. So you're talking about track, we didn't have a track team. We had, my principal got a football made up a football team for us. This made the football team, but it says, we're gonna play football. So we had to get all the hand-me-downs from the white schools. We'd get like 200 pair of old shoes that they wore. We had to go through the pile and file, try to find a pair that fit us because we couldn't afford to buy them. We wore the old pants that they had, the old football pants. And he bought us a shirt, a football shirt with our numbers on it, with our name on it. Now we thought that was the greatest thing since Cracker Jack. You know what I mean? We got a football shirt with our name on it, with a number on it. And he got these schools for us to go play. Now, you won't believe it. Some of the guys, big guys, wouldn't go to school, okay? But what we would do, we'd get them to come to football practice. They weren't in school, they would come to football practice, right? So we had a football team. We had these big guys that didn't go to school, so we could have them play football with us. So and we practiced on rocks, man. We didn't have grass field to practice on. So we go play football. Now back to track. I didn't start running track until I was 25 years old. I was in Okinawa with the 82nd Airborne Division, getting ready, training to go, if we had to go to Vietnam at that time. And that was in 1961. Okay. And the football coach asked me to run against this Japanese that was training for the Olympics, for Tokyo Olympics in 1964. It's coming to Okinawa for a practice run. And they wanted some military people, Air Force, Navy, Marine, Coast Guard, Seabees to compete in the track meet against these Japanese. Now, we didn't have a track. We hadn't started the Army track team then. The service hadn't started a track team. It was still football season. So I was the fastest guy on the football team. He says, I go down to the supply room and pick up some supplies, some shoes and stuff, and I'll pick you up and I'll take you down to Nago. It was Nago, Okinawa. I said, okay. So I go down and he said, I'm gonna tell you, Mel. He put me up to the side and he says, just watch everything the Japanese do. If they stretch, you stretch. Watch them how they get out of the blocks. I said, what blocks? I ain't no blocks. I didn't know what blocks was. So
wow.
I got these first. Let me tell you, these shoes I got was shoes that Jesse Owens wore in the 1936 Olympics. The long spikes, about that long, permanent spikes.
Okay.
Shoelaces in them, about 2,000 miles long. So I had to wrap them around the shoe to tie him. And this is the truth. I got a picture of it. I hope she sent that to you. She may not have sent it to you. But so the gun went off. So I said, okay, I better go now. So
you better go now.
And they had starting blocks. I dug 2 holes in the ground. Oh, and I caught them about 50 meters, and I won my first track meet at 11.2 on grass.
Oh my goodness. After spotting them, you still won.
And I still won. And that's how I got into track. So when the track season came around, I said, I'm going to run track. So I was undefeated in the inter-service championship. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Inter-service championship. I won 100 and 200, and they sent me to Yokohama, Japan, Tokyo. And that's right next to Tokyo. And they said, then I saw these big structures being built for the Olympic Games for Tokyo 1964. And I met this Japanese girl. She was the prettiest thing I ever seen. I thought she was an angel out of heaven, man. I was young, I said, I'm coming back to Tokyo, even if it wasn't for So when I got back after I had schools like UCLA, Southern Cal, Fresno State wanted me to come to college because I ran 9.5 and 100, on grass, on the grass, man. So remember I said I didn't think I was smart enough to go to college. So I didn't want the big colleges in California wanted me, but Clark College in Atlanta offered me a scholarship, Clark, and I met the track coach. He said, I'm gonna give you a scholarship, Mel. I said, I want you to track scholarship. I said, okay, but I was scared to go to school. But then I had a wife and a kid too, and I had to take care of my family. That was the most important thing to me.
Right.
So I didn't go to college. I re-enlisted in the Army and went to 101st Airborne Division, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, Screaming Eagles. I was there 6 months. They sent me to Korea. And in Korea, my buddies in personnel happened to read about the Army looking for college kids or run a track people to train for the 1964 Olympics. So I sent my name in. So when my time was up in Korea, I was sent back 82nd Airborne Division, jumping out of airplanes and playing Army, and they gave me 2 hours a day to train. Okay. So then that summer, the guys that given those 2 hours would go to a training camp, wherever it was in the Army base, United States. It was Fort Hood, Texas then. That was my first one. And that's when I met Bob Hayes.
Bob Hayes.
A big Bob, man. And the thing about this is kind of ironic, man, because I ran in the first AAU championship in St. Louis, Missouri, and they called us up putting a rubber track down. It was so hot, all the stuff came up on our spikes. Our spikes were full of tar, because they were trying to make us a track. But I didn't do well. But the next year I said, watch my smoke. Next year, I ran against Bob Hayes. I never beat him. I'm not going to tell that lie.
Okay.
But I was number 2 behind Bob indoors when the 50, 60, 70-yard dash. And I made the 1964 Olympic team, man. I made the team in 1964 in Randers Island, New York, and also in LA. We had to run in LA and Randers Island. And I was number 3 in 100 meters, and I ran 100 in the relay. And I didn't run the relay because I got hurt in 64. You probably saw that in my book.
Yeah.
And it's ironic too. This guy named Trenton Jackson punched me in the belly, horsing around, and tore the muscles around my rib casing. So I ended up 6 in 100 meters and wasn't able to run the relay. And I was 27 years old then. So everybody thought my running days were over, man. He's 27, man. He won't be able to come back and run no Olympic Games again. I said, watch my smoke. So when I came back, I went to Officer Candidate School, got commissioned as second lieutenant, sent to Fort Riley, Kansas. 6 months later, I was in the jungles of Vietnam, Mekong Delta.
Man.
So they pulled me out of Vietnam, brought me back to train for the 1968 games. I was 31.
But this is unheard of, 31.
And I said, when I said, watch my smoke, I made the 1968 Olympic team, buddy.
Oh,
1968 Olympic team. But in 1964, Bob Hayes and I was the only 2 that ran 100 meters because Trenton Jackson got hurt. The guy that punched me in the stomach, he pulled the muscle in the semifinals. But Bob and I, Bob won. I was able to get through the finals and played 6 in 100 meters with torn muscles in my rib casing. And I was in the hospital 3 days in Tokyo. They had to take me straight to the hospital. I had internal bleeding. I had torn all the muscles around my rib case. So people don't really know that. That's that picture. That picture that I showed you.
Is this the one where you were on the track?
Yeah. Why don't you show that picture?
Yeah. Let's show that one where you were on the track. Let's do that. Let's see here, because that picture is quite telling. Is that it right there?
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Look, that's the picture where I told the muscles, actually after running the finals and the finals, I really ripped them apart. The doc gave me shots and along my spine in the back. He couldn't shoot me in the stomach, he said, because it turned bleeding. But the injections didn't help me, but I was all taped up right there. You can't see the tape, but I was all taped up and was able to beat some of the best runners in the world to play 6 and I had to run. I ran the semifinals, got through that, and made it to the 6th place in the finals in the 100 meters. Now, that's unheard of. I mean, anybody could do that. I was in so much pain. You just don't know, man. You just don't know.
Oh, man.
But then I came back, and I told you I went to OCS and made the Olympic team for the 1968 team. And won a gold medal. As you know, John Carlson, Tommy Smith did the salute and the protest. And a story there, let me tell you a story there, because being an officer, not a captain at that time, I was called in because they thought I was part of the demonstration, which I was in the meetings every night. We had meetings. I was in the meetings, and I was like a person that's trying to, make sure the kids did, do the right thing. I was one of the oldest guys.
Yeah, because you were like the senior guy, 31.
Was me and Rap Boston, right. They even brought Jesse Owens in.
Oh my!
Now, I don't know how to say this, but now you know why they brought Jesse in, right? They brought Jesse in. I'm not gonna go any further than that.
Okay.
So we ran Jesse out of our meeting. Because he started all that honky tonk stuff from the white man. And we didn't want to hear that honky tonk stuff from the white man. We were there to do what we wanted to do, to show the world, hey, we're tired as hell. We ain't taking it. You ain't taking this shit no more. Okay. All right.
You all didn't need to hear what Jesse was coming.
No, we didn't want to hear it. So we just told him politely to leave. And which I hate to say that because I love the guy. Okay.
Yeah.
But when the colonel was telling me what he was telling me, that they had pulled my records, man. They had put the DC infantry branch, and he knew everything about me. He even knew that I was supposed to go to flight school in September before I made the Olympic team. I had passed all the tests to go to helicopter school. And of course, I would have been sent back to Vietnam, fly helicopter. I didn't care, man. I was a soldier too. I was a soldier. I'm really a soldier.
Yeah.
And so he said, well, Mel, I understand you're supposed to go to flight school, helicopter school. I said, how'd you know that? He said, well, I just understand you're supposed to go to helicopter school. I said, yes, sir. I was supposed to go in September. Now I'm supposed to go in February. So went back and told my guys, the Army, Charlie Green was in the Army too. I told Charlie Green about it. They didn't call Charlie, and I went back and told Charlie about it. He says, man, he said, you got to really watch yourself, man. You know, you can get in a lot of trouble. You go to jail because, you know, military people are not supposed to participate in demonstrations. I said, man, I know better. I'm not going to sacrifice my life, my family, and my future, you know. But I said to him, and I said that to the mate, that it was the colonel that was in charge. I said, his name was Colonel Miller. I said to Colonel Miller, I think I'm a pretty intelligent man. And I said, I lived in the South where it was we were very segregated and people were very discriminated against. And I said, what these guys is about to do, these kids about to do, I wish I could be right there beside them. I wish I could stand hand in hand right beside them doing the same thing, because I've been to the mountaintop. I told him just like that. I've seen it. You know, I've been there. Okay. I know what Tom and these kids are trying to tell the world. They're trying to tell the world, we're tired as hell. We don't take this shit no more. Okay. So he looked at me, he says, Mel, you know, you could go to jail for this. You go to prison. I says, I'm not saying I'm discriminated against. I'm saying if I was not in the military, I would be there. I want you to know how I feel inside. I want you to know exactly how I feel being a Black man and being treated the way I'm treated. I said, even in the military. He looked at me, so his eyes, man, this guy turned red as a rose. When I said that, I said, even in the military. He said, why would you say that? I said, can you sit there and you can tell me that there's no racist discrimination and racism in the military? Well, I don't think it is. I said, well, sir, I'm sorry, that's your opinion. I said, it's everywhere, sir. I'm Black, I see it every day. I said, but there's no reason for it. I said, you're a leader. I'm a leader. I'm here to save the people in America, not Black people, white people, green people, yellow people. I am a soldier. I've raised my hand to protect the United States of America and all the people in it. I said, if I'm going to shoot, I'm shooting the enemy to save every color, your color, my color, every color. I said, but what I'm going to say to you right now, and I hope you really understand that America needs to wake up and realize that God made us all the same. We bleed one color, that's red. And when a Black man go to the army and he gets shot at, the bullets don't just hit the white man, it's hitting the Black man too. I said it just like that. I mean, we had a long talk. He said, well, I guess he thought I was crazy. But you don't know how I felt then, how I felt being there and what was about to happen. And we had talked about it before we got to the Olympic Games. And I said, I don't want you to, you know, I said, I hope the opinion of me is okay. I think I just said okay. I said, but I'm just telling you what kind of person I am. I'm my own man. And I will always be my own man. And I will always speak, as John Lewis said, speak up, speak out. And even to the day, I'll be 84 and Sunday. What kind of hell can they do to me now? I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel and who if I don't like somebody, like, you know what I'm talking about? I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it. He put his pants on just like I do in the morning. He brushed his teeth like me every day. And just because they can be in a high places don't make him better than me. I served my country. I know a lot of them didn't.
Well, you know, this is the silent gesture, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but as I listen to you talk about the silent gesture, it seems to be what Kaepernick is doing now, what Kaepernick did several years ago, like taking a knee. Isn't it for the same thing in terms of injustices, or is it different?
You know, it's the same thing.
That's what I thought. That's what it sounds like.
What he did was the same thing that John Carlos and Thomas Smith did in 1968.
Yes.
He was telling the world, hey, man,
this ain't right.
Stop this bull.
Yeah, this ain't right.
Right. This ain't right. Look, the police brutality. We need to stop this. We are all one people. We all God's children, man. We breathe just like you breathe. That's all he was saying. That's all John was saying. That's all I'm saying right now as a black man in America. I'm 84 and we still got this bullshit going on. When is it going to stop? When is it
Oh
going to
my
stop?
goodness. Well, hopefully more people will just be educated about what's really going on. That's why Marvin Gaye's anthem is still, if you listen to the lyrics, to what's going on, still relevant today.
Right. I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
One thing that I'm really proud of was Black Lives Matter. Now, when all these young men were killed by the police in the last, 4 years, right? 3 years, 4 years. People from all over the world.
Oh, yeah.
Not only in America now. Think about it. Now, if the people that discriminate against people of color and people of white people, red people, yellow people, whatever color people you are, were protesting around the world about discrimination, segregation in the world. So somebody got to listen. They got to listen. They got to pay attention, man. You know?
That's very true, because these European countries, Japanese countries, all over the world, they were organizing their own protests. For justice. Oh my goodness, yes.
Yep. This is what really mind-boggling me. I guess, you know, as I get older, you go back and you reminisce. You think about things that happened back then, you know, when you were growing up, and as you got older, you see things that you still say the word why. That's in my speech. I got a speech, why. And at 84, I've done and seen so much, you know, in combat. I've seen people die. I've shot people. I've killed people in war. And but what hurts me most of all, I can't talk about Vietnam because, you know, I got post-traumatic stress, and I don't want to. But I'm going to say this one thing, and I'm going to try not to get emotional about it, is when I see young men die and arms and legs hanging off, and I come home and been treated the way I'm treated because of the color of my skin. That bothers me today. And then when I read history on the Black soldiers in the First and Second World War, they come home and they murdered and wearing their uniforms. It was in Alabama. I don't know where you know the history about that. The soldiers coming home, they were killed.
Yes.
Wearing their uniform. There's stories, man. There's stories that young people need to know about. There's stories that young people need to know about their heritage and know where they come from, and be able to say, you know, I got to do better. I got to do something with my life, or I got to change. You know what I mean? Just don't be just a follower. Be a leader. Get out there and do something great. Get out there and help somebody else that needs help. You know, I know it sounds a little far-fetched, man, but.
Well, actually, it doesn't sound far-fetched. And I'm wondering if this was part of your drive or your impetus for your book, Expressions of Hope.
Yes. If you see in the book, I'm talking about it. I'm talking about my life. And I'm talking about my life. And I'm talking about some of the things that I'm talking to you about. In my book, you know, I talk about how I was discriminated when I came home from the Olympic Games, from Vietnam, the Olympic Games, and took my mother to the doctor. And she took me into this back room with a little table and 2 chairs. And the waiting room was up and down the hall. And I go down and say, why are we sitting back here? And the receptionist said, that's where y'all supposed to sit. Now, I just came out of the jungles of Vietnam, man. And with my mom, and my mom, you know, she's she's from the old school. She's not going to say anything. She's going to be there, and she's going to say, son, she's going to say, son, don't do this, And so what happened was, I'm going to tell you, I got to tell you this story. She goes and get the doctor, and he comes out and he threatened me and called me a boy. He called me a boy.
You're a decorated officer and war hero.
Gold medal winner. Hey.
And a gold medal winner.
For my country. It was for my country. It's for this country that I live in, country that I was born in, the country that Black people helped build. We built the damn White House.
Yeah.
The country that we as people of color wouldn't be the way it is now if it wasn't for us, Black people. We got great football players. We had a Black president. We got smart people in this country, man. You know what bothers me? I was made to feel inferior when I was growing up. And I hate that. I hate to go back and think about it. Then I found out I had IQ 121.
Wow.
I couldn't have got to be an officer if I hadn't had an IQ 110. I couldn't have gone OCS. But I was made to feel like a second-class citizen when I was growing up as a kid. But I know who I am now, man. I'm the greatest Black 5'5", 84-year-old Black man that's standing on this earth. And I will stand up for what I believe in. Yes, I don't care who it is. If you say something that I don't like, you could be the president of the United States. I'm going to tell your ass, you're wrong.
That's right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Because I understand.
Because he's a man just like me.
Right. He'll probably respect you for doing it anyway.
Well, why can't we just be people? Why can't we just be normal people that God gave us? He gave us so much. He gave us this most beautiful country in the world, the most richest country in the world. Why can't we just enjoy it and be just one people, God's children? I just don't understand it. My wife's a minister, I want you to show my wife too. I want everybody to see
her.
Yeah,
I was going to say, let's get around to talking about your wife. So let's do that now. It's a great opportunity.
Well, she's a minister. We've been married for 15 years. She's very, very, very a beautiful, intelligent woman. I met her in my church parking lot. She came to my church one Sunday, and as I was leaving, the minister stopped me because I didn't go to the main service that Sunday. I went to the youth service and spoke to the kids. And she had just returned from England, had been there for 3 years and doing missionary work in Nigeria, getting well digging equipment to help the Nigerian people to get clean water. And so when he came over and introduced me to her, we touched hands, we shook hands, and we couldn't turn each other's hands loose. So we were talking, and she just asked me if I knew anybody that had well digging equipment, and that she could probably send over to Nigeria to help those people get clean water because they needed more well digging equipment. I says no, but I had a guy on my staff that could purify water. So I gave him my card and I said, call me and maybe we can have lunch. And I wanted to call me anyway. So she called me and I took her out to dinner, and we went to dinner, and I took her to this nice fancy restaurant, man, and and because I really liked her, man, when I first saw her, and found out she was a vegetarian. And I said, I could took you to McDonald's and got you a salad. But make a long story short, man, we dated for a year, and I married her. And it was a time where I wasn't in the market to marry anybody because I'd been married before, and I didn't want to do it again. But I know meeting her in that parking lot and the conversation we had and how we hooked up, it had to be God saying, this is the right woman for you for the rest of your life. And that's the way it's going to be. Because
all right.
I might be a little bit older than her, but that's okay too, But she's in school getting a master's, man. She's back in school.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, she's getting a master's degree, man. And I said, you're never too old to go to school and never too old to learn. So
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I wanted to also show you another photo that it looks like well, I'll just show it to you and then you can describe what we're looking at. Let's see here. Let's take a look right here. What do we have here? Looks like you are leading the pack.
Hey, man, that's the most beautiful picture in the world right there. Look at that man. And I tell you, you're talking about in shape. Nobody could be in shape like that.
Whoa, I'm
Well,
telling you, well, I wish.
yeah. Hey, I was 31 years old, man. And those guys in that race, I'm like anywhere from 7 to 8 years older than they are. That's the 70 meters at 100 meters, 100-meter dash in Mexico City. I was leading at 70 meters, and I don't know what. And I think the ghost jumped on me and say, "Hey, not your time." So I ended up getting sixth place in 100 meters, man. But that picture has been all over the world. I mean, I get pictures almost every month from somewhere around the world wanting my autograph for that picture.
Wow. Do you have any records that are still like that haven't been broken?
Oh yeah, I have 3, man. I have the 50-yard, the 60-yard, the 70-yard. I ran the 50 and 5 flat, the 60 and 5.8, and the 76.8. And people don't know I ran the 40 and 4 flat.
I'm just awestruck.
Yeah,
you know?
I had 5 professional football contracts. I could have played pro football. But
I didn't
I was
know
too
that.
smart. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. My first one was Montreal Alouettes. And I couldn't play
yeah.
with Montreal.
In Canada, yeah.
Yeah, they offered me $10,000. I said, nope. In Atlanta, New Orleans, Philadelphia, and also I could have played the Jets. Weeb Eubank came. Let me tell you something. Weeb Eubank came to my hotel room in Madison Square Garden. I had just won the Melrose games. Him and Bill Mathis, he was a white fullback that was a fullback for the team. Asked me if I wanted to play pro football. And Bill lives in Atlanta here.
What position did they want you to play?
I'd have been like a punt and kickoff return specialist.
Okay.
You know, and they say, well, we can't pay you a rookie, and we won't be able to pay you but $17,000. I said nope. I said nope. And I went down to New Orleans and tried out, and I was out running the football. They wanted me so bad. They said, Mel, we can't give you but $17,000, but we'll get you some commercials, man. We'll get you some endorsements. Well, we really want you to come and play. I ain't never seen nobody run like that. I said, no, you don't want me for $17,000. I said, you had to put it up front. You're gonna put the money on the wood before I put my life on the line to play pro football at my size. So I didn't go play.
Yeah, because that's when the rules were a little different than that. They could clothesline you. They could do all kinds of things in football then, and that was within the rules.
No, man, that was real football.
Yeah. None of this flag touch stuff they doing now, huh?
No, man. And I played golf with some of those old guys, man, and they told me, he says, Mel, you better be glad you didn't play pro football, because you got to come around my side, my corner. They put in your last one, you come around. I said, you're right. And I said, that's why I didn't play pro football. But I loved the game. I had great moves. One thing about me, I could start and stop so quick.
Oh, okay.
And that's what they liked about me. And but I didn't go play, man. I went on, stayed in the military and ran in the military and retired.
But you mentioned another sport that sounds like you have a passion for, and that's golf.
Yeah, I still play golf, man. Used to be like an 8 handicap. So I shot 82 last week. And
Wow.
before that, I shot 87. And most of the time, if I'm playing guys that in my category, I win a little money. But I try to play at least once a week, man. A lot of people don't know this about me. I've had 7 operations, man, and Gary, and I had leukemia and prostate cancer.
Wow.
And I'm somewhat still suffering from a lot of arthritis. In my body and leukemia, I just got over having a white blood count over 400, and it's down now, thank God, and still have a few problems, but still, I'm breathing, and I still don't look too bad as an 80. You can't tell. A lot of people don't know my age.
No. You gave it away, and I would have lost money on that bet.
Yeah, I got a haircut today and they got to cut all my hair off. I was so mad when I walked out that barber shop. I had a little bit on the side.
Yeah, as they say in the neighborhood, you moisturize very well because you don't look your age.
Well, God is good, man. God is good.
Well, in the time that we have left, what would you say, and you've had so many, but if you could narrow it down, what's been your proudest achievement?
It's been more than one.
Okay.
Okay. The first one, when I promised my mom and my grandparents that I was going to finish college, which I did. The other ones when I made the Olympic team, being a country boy from a little community like that in the school I went to, I made 2 Olympic teams at a late age. No one's, and out of the jungles of Vietnam. Let me tell you something. I am proud of me. I am so proud of me for that. I'm telling you.
You should be. You should be.
And the other one is getting my college degree and earning a PhD and being stationed at West Point. I mean, you don't get to West Point. I was actually the first Black coach at West Point. And there's a story in my book about how they treated me there because of the color of my skin. They wasn't ready for a head Black coach when I applied for the head coaching job. They said, well, we're not ready for a head Black coach. And here I am, I'm a gold medal winner, bronze. Here I go again.
Man.
Here I go again, bronze medal winner, gold medal, silver star. I mean, not silver star, but combat infantry badge. I can go on. See them all behind me?
Yeah, I see them. I see them.
All of that, but I couldn't. I couldn't coach the athletes. But it hurt the kids, man. They protested. Then the Secretary of the Army got in. There's a big story behind me about that, man. It's a story you should probably need to hear, because the Secretary of the Army was so pissed off, man. He wanted to fire the commandant for not giving me the job, man. But when he found out, they said they wasn't ready for a head Black coach, all hell broke loose. NAWCP, SCLC, oh man, it was bad. It was bad. People don't know about that story, but there's a thing that they just did a story on me out of England. They honored me in England. Did you see that?
I saw that. That was very good. Matter of fact, I'll put something, when I get this done, I'll also will link to that so people can get that story as well when they visit my website and they look at this interview. They'll be able to just do a mouse click and go to that. That was an excellent story that they did on you.
Right. And in England too, I was just really happy about it. That's when I'm really proud of that. In that segment there, I told a story about what it did to me, how it hurt me so bad from them treating me the way they did at West Point. I told them, they gave me a reception, and at that reception, you need to read that, what I said. I thought I was Einstein.
No, we'll make sure
I didn't know I was
people
that
have
intelligent. I didn't know I was that intelligent.
Well, but, no, you're quite an inspiration, and man, this is why I really wanted to interview you, to get some of these things out that people don't know about you, and a lot of people don't know about the silent gesture.
No,
I'm
they
so
don't.
glad that you put that in perspective. And I guess probably my final question might be, and we can come back later, but my final question for this evening might be, what advice would you give? And I know it's just not one piece, it might be a couple of pieces. What do you say to young people these days to help them?
Okay, first let me say this. I'm a father. I have 2 children. I have the one just now that's 67 I had when I was 15, 16. My wife, 16, she was 15, I was 16. She's 67 now.
Wow.
And I have 2 great grandkids. One's in college with my wife, and the other one's 13 months old, my great grand. Okay. And I have 2 grandsons that live in Columbia, Maryland.
Okay.
And my son, I have 2 daughters and 1 son. And I want to say that when my kids were small, when I would go speak to kids in the boys club or a recreation center in the low-income areas, I would take them with me. I wanted them to see the different world compared to the world they lived in.
Yeah.
Because we had a beautiful home, and if you read the book again, I talk about that when I was a kid. Yeah. About me seeing all those beautiful houses and cars when I used to go caddy at Capital City Country Club in Atlanta. I wanted to be like that. So I achieved that. Yes. I had a gorgeous home. I have a gorgeous home now. But I tell the kids that this is my grandfather. I talk about my grandfather. I tell them the first thing, you got to listen. Yes. And then I tell them you got to read, that he used to say. Read. Yes. And then he would say, you got to be able to do your adding and subtraction. He said, do your arithmetic.
Arithmetic.
Am I right?
Yes.
I would tell the kids that. I said, my thing is that young kids today don't know about their heritage. They don't know. A lot of young kids don't even know who Martin Luther King is, man. I mean,
don't tell me that. I know.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
I know. I do work. I do work and used to do a lot of work in DC public schools, which is where I'm from, my own school system. And it is quite shocking what they don't know and what their parents don't know.
Amen. And a lot of these kids are like me, kids having kids. You understand?
Yeah.
And a lot of kids have their grandparents taking care of their kids, of the young ones. Okay? But I was fortunate enough to realize that I had to do better. And I try to tell them, even though you're going to have disappointments in your life, you might have a kid 17, 18, even 16. I saw a kid the other day. This young girl was working at a hamburger drive-through, and she was 16 with a baby.
Wow. I
asked her, I said, are you in school? She said, no, I had a baby. I said, are you going back to school? She said, yeah, I'm going to try. I said, no, sweetheart, you don't try. I gave her my card. I said, I will help you. I'm telling you, I thought about me when I was 16 years old and I had a 15-year-old wife, man. I said, I got to do something to help this girl. I said, you can call me anytime. I gave her my card. I don't usually do that.
Outstanding. Well, she must have moved you and hit you in some way.
She did. She was beautiful, beautiful young lady. And I said, I said, you know what? I was just like you. I had a child when I was married when I was 16. She said, what? I said, I had a baby too. My wife, my young girlfriend. I said, but we didn't stop. We didn't stop there. And you don't stop, young lady. I said, you go to school. I said, if you go back and get your GED, I said, you find a trade. You get your trade or you go in the military. Well, I thought about the military. I said, that's the best thing you could do. I'm glad to hear you say that because the military saved my life. And I tell them, you never give up. You never give up. And I said, just like my grandfather said, you got to be better than the person sitting next to you.
Right.
Because everybody's competing for the same thing you're competing against for. Same thing you're competing for. Both of you. People over that side of the room probably wanted to have the same idea you got. But you got to be better than that person on the other side of the room.
Man.
And I tell them, I said, God is good. I said, you got to get Christ in your life too. And I said, I know there's a God. And I can tell you a story where I know. And I don't want to go into that. I said, but I even think I saw God. I believe I know I saw him. I know I heard his words when I was in Vietnam. And I said, there is a God. You get on your knees and you pray and ask God to lead you, to help you along the way. I said, he will help you along the way. Man. I can go on, man. I can go. I'm a motivational speaker. I can go, man.
I can't think of a better way, at least to end this chapter of our interview on such a hopeful, inspirational story like that. And I want people to see this and be moved by it like I am. So I'll just do like this. Mr. Mel Pender, gold medal winner, military hero, author, businessman, and inspirational leader. Thank you for being on this broadcast with me, and best to you and your wife, Deborah. And we'll be back talking to you again. Thank you much.
Gary, you are the man. Thank you so much for having me on your show. You got one of the best podcasts in America. And anytime you want me to do anything for you, just ask me. Even if I have to get on a bus, but I'll be on the front of the bus this time, not on the back.
Yes.
To come see you, buddy.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Have a good evening, and we'll be back in touch.
Thank you. God bless.
All right. Thank you. Bye.